Hello everyone, today's interesting over-the-air change brought nerfs to some pretty prevalent cards in Arisham. We saw a nerf to Athena, who's been very dominant for a while, a small change to Sandman, and a few others. We also saw a couple of cool buffs as well. So Man-Thing is one that I am going to look forward to brewing around with, because he's now a 4/7, which is pretty good value. And if you do that with like Clutter, maybe with Annihilus, you can get some pretty solid lines going. But what I wanted to play around with first was Thanos. So Thanos had a small buff in his mindstone going from a 2 cost down to a 1 cost. So this means that you can get into your card draw relatively early. You don't have to wait until turn 2 to really start enabling some of that draw. You can rotate a little bit more easily or freely with the Lockjaw. And overall, I think it's a solid update for the Thanos build. And in today's Thanos build, we are going all out, full big body build. We are looking to throw as many 10 plus cost cards as we can onto the board, and we can do that in a few ways. We have the Lockjaw rotation. We have the Blink to be able to cheat cards out onto the board. We have Psylocke to be able to cheat a card out a turn earlier than we would be able to normally. And of course, with Timestone, Thanos can be naturally a 5 cost card. We have Sasquatch and Mockingbird. This build does have Fastos in it, but honestly, if you don't have Fastos, it's going to work just fine. Maybe switch in a Nocturne so that you have a good rotation tool. You're a little bit more protected against clutter. If you don't have Sasquatch, another big body, maybe one that you can get down for 5 cost in something like a Hawk. Hawk could give you a way to cheat into Scar a little bit easier, a little bit more often. And so that's probably the change that I would make if I didn't have Sasquatch. That way you could get it before turn 6 when you're typically going to want to do your Blob or your Thanos instead. But we had a pretty good run with this deck. I have no idea on the stats. I know that I climbed about 100 ranks with it. My Untapped is not keeping track of my stats right now, so I'm going to have to figure that out. But overall, it was a very fun run, very high cube equity games, a lot of 4 cube wagers on the line to be able to gain a lot of cubes in a relatively short amount of time. And so we're going to go ahead and jump over into a couple of games. Thank you guys, as always, for being here. I hope you guys enjoy. We have 3 really big resources in Crossbones, Blob, Scar. Skyerx is not awful. Fastos isn't awful. And so we'll see. So the Snow Guard comes down. They're going to have the 2 cards that are generated from that. The Nico, they have a Mockingbird in this right lane of their own. So Soulstone draws into Scar for us, and we flip into Crossbones. So we get a discount on the Scar. We get another one with our Mockingbird here. And then we'll see what we can do from that point. We have the 20 power Thanos. If we decide to use it, we flip into Fastos, which is not going to be fast enough for us to do what we want to do, but it's also not the end of the world because we can do something like Jeff move, Shang-Chi, Scar, and we're doubling up here. We're adding a little bit more flair over into the right lane, and then the left lane with their own Shang-Chi. We're going to hopefully be able to swing that Sasquatch away. That's going to be our goal or our plan. We could also try to rotate into Skyerx so that our 6 costs were protected from like Shang-Chi, but we didn't go with that. Let's see if it pays off or not. The Shang-Chi in the right lane that we knew that they had, what do they have in mid to go alongside it? As long as it's not 12, it is not 12. We are able to grab the 4 cubes from StanStan, and that is where we will stand to start our video. We're going to take the 4. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have WispyOne. The first location is Elysium, which gives us a discount on all of our card draw. I think I'm going to skip on turn 1. We're going to play it a little bit patiently to figure out what and how the opponent is playing it. And then we'll adjust from there. So the Maria Hill, the Collector comes down. Destroyed Mansion, not my favorite of locations, but it is what it is, I suppose. Let's go Mindstone. Let's go ahead and go Reality Stone in mid. Reality Stone mid. We're going to go Psylocke as well. And then with that, we'll be able to do Blink on the next turn. I think that they're running a like a Loki deck or a Wiccan deck. Death's Domain is unfortunate. We can play our Vibranium there, but that is going to be about it. So not fantastic. Get the extra energy from the Superflow. Also not fantastic. Let's go ahead and rotate our Psylocke. I'm going to play the Time Stone in mid. I'm going to play Soul Stone over to the right, and we're going to play Power Stone over to the right as well. And so there is a chance that we can play our Thanos into mid with the Soul Stone being on board. So since the Time Stone is on reveal, I'm not gonna leave that one around. I'm just gonna let it get destroyed, since a lot of times our board space does get pretty congested pretty fast. So Time Stone gives us the Fastos, a cheaper Thanos. Soul Stone allows us to play Thanos here, and we would need one additional stone. Oh, we could also just Skyerx, right? Let's go ahead and go Skyerx, Fastos, and then I'm going to snap into it because we have the middle lane that should be fairly easy to lock in. They're not going to be able to hit us with a Shang-Chi, and so our Mockingbird is going to be fine. Our Thanos will be fine. Blob, any other big, heavy, high-power cards that we get on the board will be a-okay. They go one card over into the left lane in the Loki, and so maybe they're going to be hoping for the Skyerx 6 cost as well. I don't know. We'll see. Let's go with Blob, good old Blobbert into mid. And then next turn we could do Vibranium, Lockjaw, Thanos, or something along those lines, I think, is what I'm tentatively seeing. The Vibranium in mid will give us at least 4. They have one as well. No, they played theirs over to the left. And so it stops right at 13, which that hurts us so much. We can no longer play our Thanos here because they Enchantress the Power and Soul Stone, and then they have a Skyerx of their own. Imagine that. And we did absorb the last stone, so let's go Crossbones, let's go Thanos, let's go Vibranium. And I think we're still okay. They could do a 6 cost here, or I guess a 5 with it being a 4 with Elysium and Loki. But I think we'll have enough oomph to be able to get over whatever they end up doing. And so they do go all 3. They go Mockingbird in mid, which does give them the lead in mid, the Shang-Chi to the right, but of course we have the Skyerx over to the left. We're going to protect that one, we protect left, and we will take the 4 cubes against the WispyOne. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next. All right, next up we have Jake, may or may not be from State Farm. The first location is the Destroyed Mansion. I'm going to go ahead and play out our Soul Stone so that we draw a card. We have our Sasquatch, which we might be able to play out early. We have Blink, which can help us flip into some bigger cards, and then we will completely see from there. So they play their Vibranium out. We do get our Lockjaw, which it's been several games now, and I haven't really seen or got to utilize Lockjaw. So I am looking forward to unleashing this monster. Going into turn 2, I think we're going to skip, and then we'll see. Turn 3, our 6 costs cost 1 less, and so that's kind of nice. I'm going to go ahead and play out the Power Stone organically, because between that or Vibranium, I would much rather the Power Stone remain on the board. And so Jake is running a Thanos deck as well, and so let's see what we can make happen against him. We do have 2 1 cost to use next turn. We have the Mind Stone that's going to pull the remaining stones out of our deck, and so we know that that is going to be a good flip for us. Wave. Interesting. Galactus could cook us in mid, I suppose. I don't want it to, but I suppose it could. We can throw the Mind Stone down. We can do good old Blobbert into mid. With the snap, is there any way that they're running Galactus Thanos? That's the only way I can really make sense of the wave, maybe. So the triple drop, the Magneto. Okay, that's what the snap's for. The Magneto to pull our Lockjaw over to the left. They go Mind Stone as well. And then the Power Stone. Exactly 13 is super unfortunate. We do get a couple of big drops we can do. We can always do something like Soul Stone move. Play Scar out. move the rock. We rotate time stone, space stone. We should have played out the Thanos, knowing we had all of our stones, right? Let's see what they have. They do move their Magneto mid. They move their Wave mid as well. And so that's quite a bit of power there. But I do think we overpower it with the Scar. And so let's see. They knew that we were going to be going on a rotation spree, probably in the left lane. So kind of crazy that they didn't stack much higher there. They have the 20 power Thanos to the right. We wouldn't be able to touch that anyways. But we have the big commanding lead in mid. Even with Blob only reaching 13, we were able to overpower it with the Scar coming down, and then the triple rotation, which should be able to win against the Destroyed Mansion. It's a measly 8 power. We have several stones in the build, but I'm hoping that we can get something cool like the Mockingbird as a rotation so that we win by a little bit more. We will grab the 4 cubes against Jake. You can go back to State Farm. We'll see you guys in the next one. All right, next up we have Night. The first location is the Isle of Silence, and so we're not going to be playing our stones over there by any means. We are going to play out our mindstone over to the... I'm going to play it over to the left. That's going to allow us to get our cheaper draw. I like the change to it. It gives you a little bit more flexibility, especially when you draw that stone early. You get so many utility tools to utilize. And so we get our Blink. We have Elsa Bloodstone. We have an extra draw in the Soulstone. So I'd rather do something like Soulstone. Go ahead and throw Power Stone in mid. I'm going to throw both of these in mid. Since they're both ongoing abilities, I'm going to stack them together. It might be more beneficial if we had separated them, but it is what it is. They go White Widow into the middle location, so our lane gets very full, very, very fast. We have Elsa Bloodstone. I kind of think we wait a turn. We get Red Hulk out of the Great Portal, but of course that means we can't draw. Let's go Reality Stone left. I'm going to go Jeff to protect the middle lane. That's the big reason why Jeff is here, is that cheap protection tool. So Reality Stone, what do we end up hitting over here? Dream Dimension is not dreamy. They do go Debris, so they are looking to do some full-on clutter stuff against us. We can do Blink next turn, and we have most of our stones in hand. So it might be worthwhile to go ahead and cap out the left lane. Wait, we can't do... We wouldn't be able to do Blink next turn unless we Psylocke. And so, sorry about you, Elsa Bloodstone. We're going to go Psylocke into the Space Stone. And then that will allow us to Blink on turn number 5. Even with Dream Dimension, we'll Blink a few times. I promise all is well. Hopefully this is like a Green Goblin or something diabolical that we're going to stop on there. Ooh, the Man-Thing change. So that is a big Man-Thing, and we can't do anything about this one other than hope. Other than hope for a good rotation. The Space Stone has one bad whiff in Skyerx. Otherwise, it gets pretty big results. Are they big enough to make a big enough difference? I don't know. We're going to find out. That's what we're going to send here. They go Doc Ock, which pulls in our Phastos or Elsa Bloodstone. So Phastos makes all of our cards a little bit less whiffy. We only have one space to play on the final turn, though. So let's see what we pull out. Big old Blobbert coming in at 16 power with the Scar, with the Time Stone, and then with the Phastos bonus of +2, we have the Sasquatch, which is 12. We have Red Hulk, which may be able to hold his own. Let's move the Jeff. Let's go Sasquatch into mid, and then we're going to see if they decide to stick it out. I think, so even without the Phastos, that left lane would have been a bit bigger anyways. The Luke Cage, so their cards are not affected. The Hazmat coming in, not going to be enough. I do, wait, okay, it was almost enough. I do appreciate the attempt at the Man-Thing buff or change deck, but it was almost enough, but not quite there. We will take the 2. Let's go ahead and jump over into the next. All right, next up we have Skyerx. The first location is Camartage, so we're going to make our Thanos all the way down to 4 cost, and we're going to draw 2 cards here. And so we get some decent value there. The Psylocke, the Lockjaw comes into play. And so we can start rotating our cards out, which are going to be pretty, it's going to be pretty nice for us. So let's go ahead and go Psylocke. Next turn would be Lockjaw, start our rotation spree. And I think we'll be okay. Even if they have a Killmonger, I think we should be able to find Skyerx before that point. I'm hoping. We'll see though, because with our rotations starting, we can get those going pretty quick. We can churn through a lot of our deck very, very fast. And so we have 5 energy here on turn number 3. The Sacred Timeline. I don't want to play Lockjaw into mid. So instead I'm going to go Lockjaw, Reality Stone. No, Lockjaw into Soul Stone rotation. I know that I have the Reality Stone to play into the Sacred Timeline later, and so I want to get a good rotation first. Mindstone is a nice one to see into Skyerx to make sure that if they have Killmonger, our 1 costs and 6 costs, not from the Skyerx, but our 6 costs are not going to be impacted. And so the Sasquatch goes down to 4 here. The Mockingbird to 5. Let's go Sasquatch, because he's relatively cheap right now. So I'm going to go Sasquatch. The Venom, it's pretty big, pretty fast. They start scaling, discounting their death, getting a buffed up Null, potentially an Arnim Zola on the line. So we have to look out for that potential, but our Sasquatch, I want to, nice. I wanted to drop our rotation after we got either another stone or after we could drop both like Mind Stone and our other ones. The reason for that is I want to be able to draw out our last 2 stones that we have in our deck. So we can use Mind Stone to do that. We then do our Soul Stone, our Reality Stone to change this location. We are going to get a copy of our opening hand. Won't be that great. All right, let's go ahead and do this, and then we'll see. So the Mind Stone, draw out our last 2 stones from our deck. So we have the Power and the Space Stone. Get a cheaper Mockingbird for the moment. It goes into Necrotia, which is not great for that right lane by far. And then into a Jeff. We have our Soul Stone now. We get Blink and Reality Stone again, so we can still change the right lane if we want to. They go Carnage in mid, pushes the X-23 to the left. Wolverine stays here. Killmonger comes down, not taking out ours, only their extra. So Venom's big. The Death we have to look out for. They have plenty of extra energy here. As you can tell, they have 9. Goodness. So they could do Arnim Zola that gets pretty big. Thanos. Sasquatch. Power Stone. Space Stone. That's what we're going to lock in with. Let's see if we can hold it down with that. I'm not for sure. It really depends. We have the Sasquatch in mid. We're going to need a good rotation from the Space Stone, so hopefully we pull into the Fastos so that we have a great rotation tool here. The Crossbones is not good, so no matter what, even out of a blob, we're only going to get 3 power, which is not enough. But do we win the left? My goodness. We win the left with 7. We win the right with our big Thanos.
Victory.
All right, next up we have Dter. The first location is Hala. We do have our Reality Stone, so we can always change it. I'm going to skip for now and see what they end up playing out. Since Reality Stone is not going to give us any card draw, I'm not in a rush to necessarily get it out as fast as possible. They do go Hood, so we have to look out for maybe Viper. Man-Thing is also always a concern with his recent change or, I guess, buff. We get Mockingbird out of Weird World, which is great. I am going to go ahead and snap into that. I'm going to play Reality Stone into mid. And then we're looking to get some of our stones out onto the board to get our Mockingbirds as cheap as possible. Black Vortex is going to be an interesting location. They do go Demon over into the right lane, into Lake Hellas, which is great for them. Let's go Mind Stone into the Black Vortex. We're going to get 2 stones out of our deck so that we can utilize with Lockjaw. They go Pixie. So a good mix of costs into Odin, so they get another demon. Unfortunate for us. I'm guessing this is an Annihilus deck, so we have to look out for Sentry, Annihilus, sending that junk our way. That's the most, from what I've seen, that's the most common Pixie build. Let's go ahead and go Lockjaw to the right. Next turn is going to be something like Fastos plus Space Stone, and they do have the Sentry coming down. And so if we get a cheaper card, actually we do all three in the right lane, right? Fastos, Space Stone, Power Stone. Even if they have an Annihilus, we're not going to get hit with this negativity. We should get some good power here. We have some good power here, and then it's all about filling from there. And so Sasquatch will be pretty cheap depending on what we end up flipping into by the end of these rotations. We may have a cheaper Mockingbird as well. We might get into or flip into Psylocke, which could be decent for us, but we'll see. And so the Blob, the Chimera, so our 6 costs are no longer vulnerable, which is a perfect flip. Something like a Jeff could open up possibilities for another flip in Lake Hellas, but otherwise I think we... Timestone. Timestone's not bad. It brings our Mockingbird down, or Mockingbirds down to 3. The Lady Deathstrike with her buff cannot destroy our Timestone or any of our other big cards here. And so let's go Mockingbird. I think we're just going to go double Mockingbird here, because they need 11, they need 10, and then they're going to need 12 over here. They don't know it yet. They're going to need 12 over in the left. Let's go ahead and lock that in. They stayed. So let's see what they end up having here. My goodness. So the demon. Okay. And then the other one over here. Mobius in the left. So they spent a big portion of their turn fighting for that right lane. They do have the real Mysterio over to the right. And then all we had to do was beat 11 in the left, which we were able to easily do. We will take the 4 cubes, and it looks like it was a disaster for Daster over here. We'll take the 4. Let's jump over into the next one. All right, next up we have your boy JC. The first location is the Black Vortex, and so we're going to use our Mind Stone over there. We're going to pull into our stones. We're going to change the left lane. They go Squirrel Girl. So we're looking at either into an Odin. Can we get something better than that? Let's hope. We are already pretty close and congested on board space, but you know, it's not the worst thing. Let's go Time Stone, Soul Stone. We're gonna be able to draw into most of our stones by the end of the game. We can always hide a Thanos in mid. Maybe we just play it outright so that we get the Scar value and the discount on Scar. Sokovia, they lose their Dazzler, we lose Reality Stone. So we're never getting a buffed up Thanos, unfortunately. Let's go Space Stone to the left. We'll draw into another card. Next turn, we hide Crossbones into the Dark Dimension. Or we just play it over to the right. I'm undecided on it so far. But with the Squirrel Girl, with them having Dazzler, I'm thinking we see... Wasn't thinking Acid Arrow, but... Fortunate. Let's go Crossbones, see what they drop. The double in the left, so the Hydra Bob getting pulled over into Sokovia, so that's fine. The Chimera, so that their cards can't get destroyed, is also fine. We could go Lockjaw, but that's not where our strengths are going to lie today.
Opponent snapped.
Let's go Thanos right. Let's see, so the blue marble play, it's very scary, very big. Hopefully Hydra Bob goes all the way over here where he can just keep himself locked away in their already winning lane. I was going to switch it around. Glad I didn't, though. My goodness. And that is where we're going to come to a close. Overall, Thanos right now can pump out some ridiculously high-powered plays. It does leave you a little bit vulnerable to any counterplay. That way you can tech in the Lockjaw, but overall, Very fun, very chaotic. You're going to get a lot of high cube equity games with this deck, and we had an absolute blast. We're going to go ahead and end it here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys as always. This has been TLSG. Later, guys.